Alright, welcome back to my playthrough of Terraria. Let's see what happens this time. I wanted to go and get some Hellstone, but the thing is, to turn Hellstone into something I can actually use, I need obsidian too, so I was kind of mostly getting obsidian. I made a little bit of obsidian here with a little bit of water from a bucket I had, but it wasn't anything that would actually be meaningful. While I was down there, I did my best to try and get something out of these houses, but I couldn't do anything without getting set on fire. I tried my best to mine the obsidian I had, but I was going to die, so I kind of got out of there. And I did get the achievement to hell and back for going to the underworld and getting back alive. Yeah, so I hadn't survived any of my expeditions to the underworld until now. I also talked to Cody, and I knew that I also wanted to craft something else that I wanted. The Knight's Edge. Courtesy of this guy who commented a guide on how to get all 4 swords, I could unlock the Knight's Edge, which is the most powerful sword in the game before hard mode. The first sword that I wanted to get for this Knight's Edge was the Volcano, and sure enough, it was made of Hellstone. To make the Hellstone, though, I need obsidian, so I went to the underworld and used some buckets to get some obsidian. I was able to make some obsidian from my bucket, but it wasn't enough to make anything, so I was going to need more buckets if I wanted to have more obsidian. As I went on, I got a little bit more obsidian and figured out more optimal ways to get the most obsidian for my buckets, so that's good. It also started to rain slimes for the first time, but I didn't notice that until I died. I kind of just farmed a bunch of slimes that fell on top of my roof, and I also killed this special pink slime that gave me the achievement Pretty in Pink. I don't know what it's for, and I don't think it dropped anything special, but I got it. I talked to Cody about what I could do with obsidian, and I came across this thing, the obsidian skull. It makes me immune to being set on fire by blocks. It doesn't make me immune to fire, though. So, getting set on fire by blocks is obviously a huge issue. So I can't really do anything, like, I can't raid the houses that are in the underworld. But this thing makes me immune to getting set on fire by blocks. So I can stand on Hellstone, or I could stand on Hellstone, and I could stand on Hellstone bricks without getting set on fire, which is obviously very useful. So I wanted to get that, but it was 20 obsidian, so I was going to do a little bit of farming. I did barely have enough obsidian to make it, but that also means that I would have to make more obsidian. But I didn't really want to worry about that yet because I wanted to test out my obsidian skull. So I was able to test it out because I turned off the cosmetic thing so you can't see it. But I do have it, and sure enough, I was not getting set on fire anymore. But there was also just absolutely horrible things inside of it. So there was just a couple of pots, no chests, nothing. I bridged to the west, and I found obsidian house this time. So that was interesting. And it was also pretty good because I had a thing that could mine obsidian. But nothing was in it except for pots, which have a finite amount of things that they can give me, which is not very good. I figured out the hard way that I had to mine the hellstone through walls or just not be on top of it. Hellstone turns to lava after you mine it, so even though the hellstone itself won't set me on fire, if I mine it, it'll just turn to lava, and if I'm on top of it, I'll touch that lava and I'll be set on fire anyway. I also found a hell forge, which was really important because I needed that if I was gonna make any hellstone, because you can't craft it at a normal forge, just this forge, a hell forge. And also there was this portal that gave me a couple gold coins, which I don't know if that's rare or not, but I found it in a vase, I think. There was this chest I wanted to open to see if there was anything in it. It's in like that corner there, but I needed a special key to open it, so I couldn't find that anywhere, so I was gonna come back when I found a key. Also, I killed this hellbat, and it dropped a hurtful cascade, which is like a yo-yo. I cast it out, and it does damage. It also had 11% more damage because it was hurtful, which was good because you can also get things that, like slow, which makes it more slow. You can get also debuffs, but I got lucky and I got not only the cascade, but a good one, a good cascade. Anyways, after that, I went home and I made the Hellstone bars. I could only make 2, which was not enough. I looked at it to see again how much I needed, and sure enough, I needed 20 things of Hellstone bars to make the volcano. So I was gonna need to get a lot more efficient with making obsidian. So that's when I came up with the idea to just make 10 more buckets. That's gonna be better because I was gonna be able to get a lot more liquids if I could hold more liquids, then I could get more obsidian. After that, I went down to hell and filled up every single one of my buckets with boiling hot lava. And I didn't really feel like using my magic mirror, but I barely made it out, but I still died. I went down to the giant water pool under my base, so I just put down a bunch of buckets of lava to see if that did anything, and it was so much lava that I actually died from it. However, something I had figured out was a way to get more obsidian than I was normally supposed to. So if I placed a single block down in the middle of where the obsidian would be, then it would flow to the sides and give me 2 pieces of obsidian. And that's about the only thing I could really know. And I mined up all the obsidian until my buckets were empty. And it took a little while, so I sped this part up because I thought it would be cool. I entered my house and got to the Hellforge ready to make a ton of Hellstone bars, but lo and behold, I only made 8, which put me about halfway done. I had the obsidian for it. Why wouldn't I make more? Why couldn't I make more? Well, I forgot to check that it's 3 Hellstone per bar, not 1. I somehow didn't notice throughout everything because I didn't realize that with every other ore it's 3 of the ore per bar. So why? Long story short, I got the Hellstone I was missing and made enough Hellstone bars to make the volcano. So that's 2 of the swords that are needed for the Knight's Edge that are completely finished. Yes, I say 2 of them because one of them is the Blood Butcherer that I already have, so I already got that one. The next one is the Mar Musa, or something, I'm not sure. This one's mostly RNG based. It's not as hard to get, it's just luck dependent. So basically, I just had to find it in a dungeon and I would be good. And the only dungeon that I knew about was the one where I fought Skeletron. So I was going to go there and hope that I found it. Honestly, I was actually really nervous because I didn't know how long this would take because this is the only way you could find it, I'm pretty sure. You can't craft it, so I have to find it. Just like last time, there were a ton of skeletons everywhere. And I don't know how I got it, but I got a golden key so I could unlock this. I got a shadow key, which I need for the chest in the underworld. And I found a Daedroscope potion that shows me the nearby areas of where enemies can be. So, that's cool. No Mermusa so far. I then died to the same spike pit I died to the first time I was here. Before I went back to keep searching for the Mermusa, I decided to actually go down to hell to unlock the chest with the shadow key. That I had found a shadow key in the chest, the one chest I found, so I went to go unlock the chest. I then died because I missed a jump by a single block. And the building that has it is over there, so I couldn't do that. But that didn't matter. Because now I wanted to make something that made my hull diving more efficient. So I got tired of having to go down there and then go through all this tube to go down to my hull hole. So I decided that I want to build a little tube that goes from the surface, from in between one of my villagers' houses, all the way down to my hell hole. So I was going to have to dig a very precise pit. If you thought this was gonna be difficult, well, you would be kind of wrong. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. I do wish I could set a waypoint or something so it would be easier, or if I could move the map with a D-pad, so it would be easier to move directly up. So I got to and I hit the hellhole right there. I hit it right on the nose, my second try digging the hole, so it wasn't super bad. I then used my skeleton bones to make a bone platform so that I could run over it, but also drop down it whenever I wanted. So now I am going down to hell with maximum efficiency, which is good because I hate waiting around and I hate having to go down that hole. So I wish I could fall faster or something. I'm just naturally an optimizer. I want to try and go as fast as I can. But there's not an option for that, so I have to sit here and wait for me to go down to the underworld so I can attempt one more jump. I had cleared that jump barely, but then I realized that the chest I was looking for isn't even here. Turns out the chest I was looking for was in the area where I had jumped from, and I had unlocked something new. I had gotten the Flame Lash. It's like a little fireball I can control with my cursor, so if I just tap it, it'll shoot a fireball, but I can also make it fire it. It's mostly useful for PC gamers, but I don't play this game on PCs, so it's pretty good. Another thing I got from that chest was actually a special key that summons this little purple mimic pet that follows me around. It doesn't do anything like Abigail does, but it's pretty cool. I also bought this thing called a forest pylon, which it's supposed to be used like a teleporter, but I don't know where the other pylons are, so oof. That was a kind of a waste of gold, but I'll figure out how to get the other pylons eventually. I went back to the dungeon to go and keep going to try and find my Marmosa, and the volcano was actually really strong. That's why I wanted to get all the things before this. And I found the Marmosa in this chest, so that's that. So 3 of the 4 swords required for the Knight's Edge are finished. This next one is going to be difficult. It's called the Blade of Grass. All the ingredients to find it are in the jungle, in the underground jungle, but I haven't explored it that much. So, yeah, that's going to be an adventure. I also had this party girl move into my town. I don't know what she sells. She sells, like, party stuff, and they're not really useful, so oof. I started to head towards the forest when I saw another one of those pools of water on the ground. I'd run past it a couple times before, but I never really looked at it. So, if things were right, that would mean that there's a Skyland somewhere around here. So I got a little sidetracked and decided to go and search above for it. I went as high as I could and I couldn't find it, so I decided to follow down and see if there was anything there, and sure enough, there was. I did find something called an Arcane Lucky Horseshoe, which is the same as my other horseshoe. It just has an extra thing, so I'm going to equip that instead. I also got this thing called the Eye of the Sun, but it doesn't seem like it does anything. It just says it can be placed. Unfortunately, there was no fledgling wings in the chest, but it was actually pretty rare, so I wasn't very surprised. So I decided to just wait until I activated hard mode to get wings. I got to the jungle and started to poke around to try and find an underwater place, or underground, because that's where all the stuff I needed was. I needed 3 different things. I needed the stingers of a wasp, which are underground. I needed the vines from a man-eater, and I needed jungle spores from either just straight finding them underground, or from spiked jungle slimes. So I had to find them underground, but I also had to find an area that started me going underground. I eventually found this place that went really far down, but I found these hives that are really small, and they didn't drop the bees that I needed to get. They had tiny bees, and I needed wasps. I decided to map out the entire area where the jungle was, and I decided that since I hadn't been to the entire west side of the world yet, or east side, I'm not sure, I was gonna go there now. So I had actually reached it here, but I knew how deep these go, so I didn't want to keep going. So I just found a massive breathing reed, which I'm not sure what that is, but I didn't have time or the space to take it, so oof. But I have gone from each side. I have explored the entire world, at least the surface. 30 minutes later, and I had still not made any progress trying to get anything that I needed underground. I kept finding equipables, but all the ones I still had were always better. Something I did find, though, was this massive beehive. So I decided to blow it open and see what was inside, because why not, right? And I got the achievement, "Where's my honey?" I broke the thing that I didn't know I could break, and then I summoned Queen Bee. And honestly, she wasn't that hard. Like, she only has 3,000 health, which is not very much. And I had a lot of really powerful swords now, so she was a piece of cake. I didn't even die. Yeah, so I just kind of unleashed all my weapons on her, and she was down for the count in like 10 minutes. Okay, probably less than that. I'm not exactly sure. But I got the achievement Sting Operation and a ton of bee stuff. There was this thing that allowed me to place hives with a wand. There was this bee gun. I got a bunch of bee wax and this honeycomb. I barely had enough space for it. I probably could have emptied my inventory before I came here, but I didn't. After that, I finally started to make some progress. Like, I had actually found a wasp that I was looking for. Skipping over most of the boring stuff at this point, I found a shotgun and a lot of potions in this chest. And yeah, so I kind of was just killing enemies to get the stuff I needed. So it was kind of just a matter of finding the enemies. Oh, and I also found one more life crystal, which means I maxed out my life unless there's another bar, which I don't think there is. Yeah, so I maxed out my heart meter, and I found some more stuff in these chests. I was starting to find the actual things I needed. Lucky, right? Now that I had found a giant cavern, all the enemies I needed were there. There's spiked slime and all the wasps everywhere. Which is good because, like, I was having such trouble finding them before. Basically, if I couldn't find a way down from my current cavern, I would look around and try and find a cavern that was below it. Also, if you look over there, you'll see another NPC. I had also got my last viand from this man-eater. But, yeah, anyways, this is Zon. He's the Goblin Tinkerer. He mostly sells everything. But he also reforges things, which is, you know how I can get, like, certain buffs, like, deadly, or, fast, or stuff like that changes depending on how you make the weapon. But if you get a bad one, you can pay to have it reforged by that guy. So that's interesting. After quite a while after that, I had finally gotten all the things I needed. So I finally was able to make the Blade of Grass, which means all 4 swords for the Knight's Edge were finally complete. So all I had to do was head over to the Crimson, because they need to be crafted at a Crimson altar, and I would be able to get the Knight's Edge. Also, my inventory was absolutely stuffed at this point, so it was kind of hard to find space for anything. I also got this abstractor thing that I'm not sure what it does. And I also found this wand that allows me to grow grass. It's kind of useless, and yeah. But anyways, I had finally finished all the swords I needed for the Knight's Edge. I also got this new guy who came to my town while I was out, and he was a witch doctor. I'm not really 100% sure what all this stuff is that he sells, but yeah, it's cool because I got another villager. I talked to Xon, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say it, and I found out that he sells rocket boots that allow me to fly in short bursts. But I thought this sounded awesome, so I bought them. Then I had to find space for it in my inventory. Also, look, whee! Look at what I can do with my new rocket boots. And I'm somehow wearing rocket boots and Hermes boots. So, and utilizing the parasol, I can even go farther. So, everything about these rocket boots are awesome. I went to the Crimson and I crafted the Knight's Edge. Unfortunately, I got the unhappy side effect, which makes it slower, smaller, and generally worse. So I decided to leave the game and craft it again and hopefully get a better get a better side effect this time. On my way there, however, I actually found a meteorite. Now, sorry it's hard to read this one. I didn't realize that this was on my screen because I was playing on my TV. But I found a giant meteorite, and since I have my obsidian skull, it didn't set me on fire. So I mined up, actually, most of the meteorite. I looked at what I could make with meteorite bars, and turns out that the armor I could make is actually worse than my crimson armor. But I could also make stuff like different colored lightsabers, and I also came across this thing called the Star Cannon. It's made out of my mini shark, and I didn't use the mini shark that much, so I turned my mini shark with a couple meteorite bars and a couple fallen stars into a star bazooka. So I was pretty happy with myself. The only problem is that the bazooka shoots fallen stars, so the ammo's a little expensive, but it does nearly 60 damage, so I'm okay with that. Anyways, round 2, crafting the Knight's Edge, and I got no buff this time. Hey, I'd rather get no buff than a debuff. So I also wanted to look at what else I could make with the meteorite bars, because I had so many of them. I mined out most of the asteroids, or meteor, so I had over 100 bars, and I didn't want to make the armor because the armor is weaker than my crimson armor. I went to ask Cody about what I could make with the meteorite bars, then I saw I could make something with the Knight's Edge. The true Knight's Edge. But that's hard mode stuff because it has Souls of Fright, Might, and Sight. So I can't get those yet. Oof. And also, I looked at Hellstone and saw that their armor is also the strongest before hard mode. So I was going to try and get Molten Armor next. I also ended up making this space gun, which was actually really cool. Ammo is mana like the B gun, but it's super cool because it's like a space age blaster. So it's just so cool. It's like it's straight out Star Wars. I also decided to put away my Undertaker and Lead short sword because I just didn't need them anymore. I was actually getting prepared to fight the Wall of Flesh, so I did a little weapon thing. I got my Flame Lash, a whip-type fireball, my space gun, shoots lasers like a space gun, boomstick, acts like a shotgun. I didn't shoot my Star Blaster because the ammo is really expensive, but I have my Star Blaster. I have my boomerang that I never bothered to make a trimarang because I still haven't found a nice boomerang. I have my meatball, and I have my Knight's Edge, the strongest sword in the game I can access right now. So I was almost ready to fight the Wall of Flesh. I had 2 more things I wanted to do. One, I needed to make a little arena, or at least an area to move backwards to in the underworld. Also, look at my Knight's Edge. It does that cool like spin around thing. Yeah. Anyways, I needed to do 2 things. I wanted to get molten armor, and I also wanted to make a couple platforms in the underworld so I could move all the way backwards because the Wall of Flesh constantly inches towards you, so I need some space to move backwards. Tonight I was kind of just searching around to find fallen stars, but unlike most nights, there were barely any. I could only find around 6 in the entire night, which is sad because there's normally much more. And now that I actually need them because they shoot my best weapon, they're a little annoying. Also, the Knight's Edge really makes quick work of any normal enemies. Told you it was great. The last thing I wanted to do before I made my arena in the underworld was make a bunch of molten stuff. I wanted to make my molten armor. I did a little bit of math, and it's 10 for the head, 15 for the bottom, and 20 for the middle. Adding that together, there are 45 ingots I need, which means 45 pieces of obsidian, but more importantly, 135 pieces of hellstone. There's no way that was enough hellstone for me to mine. So I had to find more hellstone somewhere else, and I figured out a way. Before that, though, I took all my lead and made it all into buckets because I needed a heck of a lot of obsidian. So that means a heck of a lot of buckets. I needed lots and lots of buckets. I ended up making 20, but that was enough. Like, I didn't need more than that. Like, I could get like 2, so 20 was definitely gonna be enough obsidian. For the most part. Before that, though, I wanted to get the lava first. So, I got a bunch of lava through here. And I lied. I actually ended up getting around 30 buckets. So, I needed a lot, okay? If I can get around 2 pieces of obsidian per bucket, then that's a lot of obsidian. And I probably need obsidian for other things. But now came the kicker. I needed a lot of hellstone. So I was going to have to figure out a way to mine a lot of hellstone, which is a problem because most of the hellstone is in lava. Anyways, when I got that lava back to the surface, okay, it's kind of hard to see, but I kind of did my best. I kind of just dumped a bunch of the lava in there to see what it would do. But it is a little laggy, so yeah. I just emptied out all my buckets, but I actually died because there was so much lava. And then I died again. It was kind of hard to mine the obsidian, so I actually had to go to the underside, which made it substantially easier to mine the obsidian. And that was it. I got every single piece of the obsidian that I could get. I forgot how many pieces there were. It was around 62. Wow, that was a lot of obsidian. So I figured out a fix for my little hellstone problem. There's a potion called an obsidian skin potion. It makes me immune to lava for 6 minutes. 6 minutes is definitely enough time for me to mine enough hellstone. So I decided to make a couple of those. Turns out that I had all the things I needed, so I ended up making around 6 obsidian skin potions. I went to the underworld, drank an obsidian skin potion, and dived in. There was definitely a lot of hellstone here, so I definitely had enough hellstone. I was definitely going to be able to get enough hellstone before I ran out of potions. And also, the hellstone's lava effect obviously had no effect because, well, I was already swimming in lava. So I just had to get out of there and get enough hellstone before my obsidian skin potion ran out. Cut a long story short, I got enough hellstone, and I had more than enough to make it. Yeah, there was a lot of hellstone down there. So I made the molten helmet, the molten breastplate, and the molten greaves. So now all I had to do before I fought the wall of flesh was to make my platforms go all throughout the underworld. I need at least a couple hundred blocks because the wall of flesh moves a little fast. And I also decided to pay respects to my now retired crimson armor. So I was ready and I was gonna go and make the platforms, but I was tired, so I ended up making not as many of them. Alright, that should be about it for this video. Yeah. So, like and subscribe if you want to see more from my channel, and goodbye.